first thing that I wanted to talk with you guys about, what do you do when you need to search for something? Where do you go?
I Google it.
You Google it? Okay. Does anyone else use any different search engines? Yeah? Bing? Okay. Yeah?
I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's Binkyland.
Okay. So there are a lot of different search engines out there. The most common that everybody uses is usually Google, and so much so that it's even become a verb, like how you said, I Google it. So we are going to be using Google today because it is the most commonly used, and also because when we go onto our computers here, Google's the first thing that comes up, right? So it's automatically set on our school computers that way because we have Google accounts for our email accounts and things like that. So when you go to search for something, how do you know what you want to type in? What do?
You usually have a prompt or something you look up.
Okay, there might be a prompt that you're already given.
If you're searching for a question, just type the question in.
Okay, one thing is you could type the question in. One thing you might not know is Google doesn't know if you're asking a question or not, so you don't have to use a question because Google, it doesn't know things. It can't tell that you're asking a question. It takes each one of your individual words and it looks for every single word. So if you ask a question and it has like A and D and all that, the web page, whatever it brings up, has to have all those things to match. So all those extra words are not really needed.
The search engines and stuff like that, so you want to search.
Yeah, you want to come up with what are my basic things that I'm looking for, and then I'm going to show you a couple different additions that we're going to put onto that. So for one of the things I asked you guys yesterday was how do you know when a website is a good one? And so a couple of people said, well, if my teacher tells me it is. But that might be true, but I want you to be able to do it yourself and to know what's a good website. A couple people knew that certain endings are good. Does anyone know what some of those would be?
.org, I think.
Okay, .org. What is a .org website?
I don't know, but I know that one of the first ones like HTTP.
Yeah, that's usually at the beginning of all of them. HTTP or HTTPS are going to be at the beginning of all of them. So the endings are what we're going to pay attention to. .org means it's an organization that specifically has something to do with whatever it is you're looking for. What else? .gov. What does .gov have to do with? The government, yeah. So .gov is going to be something that is from the government that has been checked over and has been reviewed by a lot of people. So .gov ones are really good. And so we're going to look at some examples. Okay, what is a .com ending?
Creative stuff.
Sometimes. Do you know what .com is? What is it?
It's a commercial.
Yeah, commercial is what it stands for. What that means is someone is paying to have that information up there, and they are trying to sell something to you, basically. What else?
Ain't the website's like good if there's like a thing at the bottom and it says like where the website's from and all that stuff?
Yeah, a lot of times you want to look down at the bottom to see where it comes from. What else?
Isn't there another one .edu, like education?
Yeah, .edu are educational websites. Those are ones you want to pay attention to, be careful of, because you don't know who made it. Sometimes it might be a college professor, sometimes it might be an elementary school student. So you want to pay attention to who made it. Like you said, scroll to the bottom, see who made it, to see if it's right. So we are going to Google, and I'm going to show you what I Googled to come up with the things that we're going to look at today. Google is .com because it's a website that somebody owns. It's a company.
So shouldn't it be, if you said it was a company, shouldn't it be org?
Nope. Organization are usually going to be like nonprofits, things like that. to Google our website that we are, or our unit that we're working on is biomes. So I'm typing biome as my first word. Now I'm going to show you a specific way to look for those .edus and those .govs. You can actually tell it to only find those when you look on Google. So here's how you do it to tell it to look only for those. You're going to say site, because I want this kind of site, colon, .gov. Oops, sorry. Okay. So this is how I found the first one that we're going to use today. And I looked at a bunch of these different ones to see which one would be best for us, but it just so happened that the first one was a really good one. It's run by NASA Earth Observatory, and it tells all about these different kinds of biomes. So I knew it was run by a government organization, it's run by NASA, and it's all about the Earth and things having to do with the Earth, so I explored a lot of these different things. I even looked down at the bottom, like Natalie said, and I went to see like who were the people involved in creating this website. So I already know it's .gov, it's NASA, so this one's a good one. Okay, here's another one that we're going to look at. I did biome again, and I did site again, but this time I did .edu. And I'm going to show you how you can look at these different ones. So the first one I looked at when I was deciding what to do is I chose the first one. That's usually what we do, right? Choose the first one because it's usually pretty good. So I clicked on that one, and then I looked through here, and it says, welcome to the World's Biomes page. Tells the definition. It looked really good, and I started looking at some of the information. But then I got down to the bottom, and it didn't really tell who wrote it, but it had an author's link here. And then when it brought up, it said this was a fall biology class at UC Berkeley, so it was made by some students. And so I thought, well, do I really want something that was made by some students? I don't know what grade they got on this website. Maybe they didn't do very well. So I decided I didn't want this one. And so I went back to my results, and then I went to the second one. And this one's called World Biomes. I looked up here, and it's nceas.ucsb.edu. And so I had to figure out what all those letters meant. And so I looked, and I saw all these different things about biomes, and I saw there looked like some good information about it. Has a section for aquatic and terrestrial, has some games and things like that. So then I looked down here at the bottom to see who made this website. And it had a link here, NCEAS. And so I went to see who made this. So this is by the National Center for Ecological Analysis and Synthesis. And so I looked into some information about them, and I thought, well, they're experts on this. This is from a university, but this is actually an edited website, and so I could tell that when I looked at all these different hints on there, like looking at the bottom. Okay, so since now I know who made this website, I know it's this center that's well known, that has to do with the University of California, Santa Barbara. That's what that UCSB stood for. And it's this whole center, so we know lots of people edited this and made sure it was perfect. I could tell this was a way better website than that first one that I looked at. Okay, so you guys are going to be looking at these websites today, the ones that I've given you here. There are a couple, there is a way that we can get to these. Okay. These are linked on the library page. And if you go down to the bottom, there is a biome research. Okay, once you click on that, we have our websites that we're going to be looking at. So NASA Earth Observatory and the NCEAS World Biomes. So you're going to click on these and look at them. So let me give you a paper that you're going to be working on. Okay, on the front, you're going to see there's a chart. You're going to use your textbook to help you because it is your kind of your starting point for this. On the left column has all the biomes from your textbook, so the ones that you've learned already. You're going to look at these two different websites that I just showed you, and their categories don't exactly match up. So when Mr. Lester and I were talking about this, he said he's seen lots of different lists where they were not exactly the same terms and they were organized in slightly different ways. And so we talked about how that's a really good way for you guys to think about organizing these things for yourself, looking at all this different information and finding out how can we determine how they line up. So you're going to compare the ones on the Mission Biomes website, that's the NASA Earth Observatory, and the World Biomes website, so that's the NCEAS, and you're going to compare what are their categories, how do their categories line up. So you're going to be exploring these two different websites to decide how to classify the information that they have so that it matches up with the information you already have